Hello tarot friends, this is Grace. Welcome to my channel, also named after me, Mary Grace Fahrun. I figured I'd do a little intro because I never do. I just do the cold open. Like I think I'm an episode of Law and Order. Dun dun. Anyway. Today I thought I'd go a little bit off the beaten track. I have many interests and I don't want to limit what I talk about on my channel because I have other interests and I know that so do you. As the title suggests, I'm going to talk about time in a bottle. To preface this, I mentioned in other videos over the course of the few months I've been putting out content that I am a perfume collector. I am a vintage perfume collector. Again, not of the high-end museum kind, but some of them are hard to find because, you know, I'm a vintage collector. And today I wanted to start my first in a series of my perfume collection. One, discussing, briefly why it is I collect perfume. I'm like a dog. I experience the world through my nose. And those of you who've studied psychology or biology may or may not know, some of you didn't even study these subjects, may or may not know that our sense of smell is directly tied to the limbic system, and scent is the strongest memory. It creates memories, or it's instrumental in when you experience something. The scent of the moment gets locked in with that memory. Also, it's the key to open up memories that you may even have forgotten about. All right. So, in my first video, I want to share with you perfume, scents, fragrances. I've selected 5, and I think these are like the 5. There's some other ones, but these are directly related to maternal influences in my life. So, perhaps I need to open up a little bit, and so that you can know me a little bit better. And I do this with a little trepidation because I'm an extremely private person, and I'm extremely introverted. No matter what it is that you see on screen, okay? I'm a Leo sun. This is what you're seeing on screen. Yeah. Anyway, here goes. I lost my mom when I was 5. And sadly, and not so sadly, but I lost my mom when I was 5, but she didn't die. My mom was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and she had a psychotic break when I was 5 years old. And this is like the abridged version of my story, because there's a whole story that leads up to this, but I'm just going to start where my mom experienced a psychotic break. And due to that, she was hospitalized, and we were visiting Montreal from Connecticut, and she was deported, and I was left behind, and ended up in a series of, not in a series, but in a time, months, where I was in foster care. I was in foster care with complete strangers who were absolutely lovely. I wish I could track them down, because even my 5-year-old brain knew that these were good people. And then I was raised, and from there I ended up at my aunt and uncle's house in Montreal, being raised by my father's sister and her husband, my uncle. So And my mom was deported to Connecticut, and she was placed in she was hospitalized. She was placed in care and remained in care, institutionalized, for the rest of her life. And so my mom was still living, but I didn't have my mom. So I have been grieving my mother since I was 5 years old. I grieved her when she was living, and now I grieve her that she's no longer living. So, sorry. This is, I don't talk about this much, and I can't believe I'm doing this in a video. I wonder if I'm even going to upload this video now. But I think I don't think my experience is uncommon. And I'm hoping that there's someone out there who this resonates with you, and you know that it's not uncommon, and I get you. So I've grieved my mom my whole life. I grieve the mom I didn't have. I grieve the mom I did have, which was like an aunt that I'd visit in the summer, and it would tear my heart to shreds. Just recalling, I'd visit my mom in the hospital where she was staying, and then the facility or whatever, and I have it burnt into my brain, the image of her waving at me from the front door of whatever facility she was living in. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, I did not know this was gonna go in this direction, but you know what? Here we are, so I'll just keep carrying on. All I have with me is my mom didn't have many earthly possessions. She was hospitalized. She was institutionalized. I don't have much from her or that belonged to her. I don't have much of anything really. But what I do have is a bottle of perfume, one of the fragrances that she wore when I was a child, that will bring her right into it will bring her right to me. And it is it's what I reach for in my cupboard when I'm needing to visit with my mom. I have some others, which are, this is truly the maternal, I'm a baby, and this is a smell that has stayed with me. It's the smell of my mom. Here it is. It's White Lavender by Yardley. And I'll show you, this is a really vintage one. I have another one that a friend sent me. But this is really, this is the same bottle that my mom would have had on her vanity. It's not the bottle she had on her vanity, but it's the same one that, would have been. So it looks just like it, is what I'm trying to say. But it's not my mom's. I got this on eBay, almost 20 years ago. When I open this up, I'm a child. I'm a little girl. I'm 3, 4 years old, watching my mom put on her makeup and do her hair. And it smells like a hug from my mom. And this is what I use to connect with her energy when I'm needing my mommy. Because of my mom being hospitalized when I was very little, I had both the blessing and really, it was both a tragedy and a blessing at the same time. The tragedy is I never had my mom, but there were mom figures in my life where I guess their children were kind enough to share their mom with me. One was my Zia that raised me, my dad's sister. And when I want to remember my Zia when I was little, I reach for this. And this is Emeraude, Eau de Cologne, by Cody, or Coty. And this, it just brings my Zia. Again, it brings her energy right to me. And when I'm needing to visit with her, I will pull this one out. And because this is what she wore in the early 70s when I was placed in her care. So this is what I'm trying to say is these fragrances that I'm sharing with you today, they're maternal energy, but they're from different maternal influences in my life. The next one is this was on my Zia's dresser. It was also on, my dad was dating, my parents divorced prior to my mom having the psychotic break, which is what I said, there's this whole story that leads up to that psychotic break that I was going to just not, there's no time for that. And to be honest, it's depressing and I don't want to be a downer, so what I mean, here we go. All right. The next one, so my dad was dating, or he was dating and then had a friend in his life who was a very strong maternal influence to me. She was a person who taught me unconditional love. She just loved people, wanted nothing in return. And I learned that from her. And this is Chanel No. 5 cologne is vintage. They don't make the cologne anymore. I shake it up because when you have vintage perfume, it's nice to air it out. Yeah, this one's beautiful. But here, let me just pause here with some technical stuff. So suppose you want to get into vintage perfume, or you go to a thrift store, or you score like an old bottle of perfume. This is eau de cologne. This is at least, judging by the packaging, this is from the 1970s. And that's like, it's 40 years old at least. So when you get vintage perfume, if it's in a splash bottle, which means not with an atomizer, not with a spray, you give it a good shake, and this gets the water out of it. That may smell a little musty. It's the water that smells musty, and the mustiness will evaporate. Just leave it open like this, somewhere safe where it's not going to get knocked over, for 24 hours. You're not going to lose the fragrance, but you're going to lose the mustiness. And yeah, this smells as good as it did straight out of the packaging 40-something years ago. It's beautiful. So back to the story. Many of the maternal influences in my life, teachers I loved, other people's moms, my Zia, my dad's friend who till this day I consider her my stepmom. This brings that whole maternal thing back to me. It is also my number 2 favorite fragrance in the world. So for me to wear, it's my favorite perfume to wear. There's the scent that I like to wear every day. And then this is my favorite. This is what I wear to dress up because it makes me feel grown up. And it brings the energy of all those beautiful, nurturing women to me. The same friend, my dad's friend, who I consider my stepmom, this guy, Charlie. She gave me her bottle. She had a bottle of Charlie on her vanity, and she gave me her bottle of Charlie when I was a teenager because I just fell in love with it. Now, leave a comment below because I'm not talking about notes. And if you're like a frag head, if you're a fragrance lover, and you want me to talk notes and talk about notes and everything, top notes, middle notes, base notes, dry down, classification and all that, let me know. But for now, I'm just talking about the memories of the people. This smells to me like summer in Connecticut. This will always smell like summer in Connecticut to me. It will always bring back those memories of getting her garage, being in my stepmom's garage, getting stuff ready for her summer tag sales. I learned everything I know about vintage and antiques, helping her set up those sales every summer, reading all the books she had on the different things, and fishing out the things that had value. Yeah. And that's where my love of thrift. Oh, she gave me my love of thrift. She gave me my love of vintage. Till this day, when I go to a thrift store shopping for something, she is with me. So, and last, but certainly not least, I had an older cousin who I idolized. She looked like a movie star. She was smart. She had a really big heart. She was maternal because she was the oldest of 3 sisters. And all I wanted to do was spend time with her. I wanted to be with her. I wanted to emulate her, although we looked dramatically different. Although we were cousins, we weren't blood cousins, and we looked, like she was absolutely stunning. She looked like a young Liz Taylor and a young Joan Collins smooshed together with the fire of Sophia Loren, because she was she was of Neapolitan descent. She's still living, sorry. I adored her. And this was her signature fragrance during the 70s and 80s. And it's Chloe by Lagerfeld. This is no longer in production. I probably should mention this. There is a current formulation available, but it's similar. It's enough to ring those bells if you associate it with someone in your past. Cologne formulation is no longer made of Chanel. This, you can probably find some mass-produced watered-down version of this. Again, still rings the correct bells, like in the limbic system. This is impossible. This is an eBay. This is a hunt on eBay. And this is no longer in production. During the last 10-15 years, there used to be a version available called Chloe by Chloe that had a similar looking bottle, similar enough fragrance, but this takes me right back to my glamorous cousin that I adore. I still adore her. I just, I live so far away. I'm never, I don't see her, and we've lost touch. But it brings back, for me. While the other fragrances remind me of people that are no longer living, this brings me back to that energy of coming of age, of trying to figure out, well, what's my aesthetic? What do I like? I would, I'd wear this and I could, and it made me feel glamorous like my cousin looked. And till this day, I just have fond memories. I was wearing this fragrance, during some really beautiful memories in my life. I was wearing this fragrance, not this exact bottle because I used it up in the 90s, the one that I had. But I was wearing this fragrance when I met my husband. So this is just, it brings me right back to the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. There's 20 years of memories in this fragrance, in this scent. And they're mixed. When you wear something long enough, the memories become mixed. So in closing, I am going to mention something though. If you're someone like me that fragrance ties you to memories, there are some memories that can ruin a fragrance for me, and that's a whole other video. But what I did notice is that if a bad memory, a bad experience attached to a fragrance occurs, I need to push through it. And I need to if I love the fragrance, I need to wear it. And I need to wear it in a neutral environment and just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And basically just sensorially take it back, or olfactorily take it back. Some I've been able to do that with. Some fragrances I have been able to do that with. Some, not a chance. Some fragrances are tied into such sorrow, or to such rage, or to such yucky feelings that they're just unsalvageable. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Today, I've shared with you my fragrances that invoke the maternal. And yeah, even this one, because my cousin is older than I am. This was maternal, but in a young maternal, nurturing kind of sense, I'm an only child. She was the closest thing I identified as a sister, as an older sister. So here they are. My 5 fragrances that invoke a maternal spirit, nurturing maternal spirit. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all a beautiful day.